Hello guys, hope you're doing good. So in today's video, we're going to look at the Voyageur Gen 2 by Worktuff gear. So the Worktuff Voyageur is a modern rendition of the French trade knife that was used in the 16th up to the 18th century by the voyageurs. So these explorers used their canoes to navigate the waterways of North America and traded furs with the indigenous people. They needed a sturdy knife that was still multifunctional enough to skin their animals, prepare their food, and be used for wood prep work. So it's important to understand the design philosophy that led to the development of this knife. So this is not a survival knife, it's more of a camp knife, meaning it's a more refined knife with a thinner stock, a much thinner edge, making it ideal for tasks like skinning, food prep. It's an excellent slicer, but it's a knife that can still do some basic tasks like light chopping or maybe light batoning as well, but it's not a dedicated knife for batoning or chopping. So one difference between the Gen 1 and Gen 2 is that the sheath has been reconfigured. It's much easier to take the knife in and out of the sheath compared to the Gen 1. So that's a definite upgrade. So let's take a look at that knife. So as you can see, the knife has a clip point type of design. It has a saber grind with a convex edge. Overall, this knife measures 10.1 inches. The blade is 5.6 inches with a 5.4 inch cutting edge. The thickness of the stock is 4 millimeters or 0.149 inches. So it's still a pretty lightweight knife, coming in at 10 ounces. The knife is made out of Bowler K329 steel with an HRC of 58 to 60. So the Voyageur shares the same ergonomic handles as the Forester. They're very nice, they're contoured, they're very ergonomic, and it has a lanyard hold in the back for a paracord lanyard. So this knife is going to be available in multiple options. This one is with the canvas micarta handle, very comfortable, but there's options with G10 handles with some specific texturing. All right, so let's see how sharp the knife is outside the box. Super sharp. This is effortless. This is definitely a great slicer. All right, so let's see how good it is at cutting cordage. Here we got some paracord. Super easy. Let's double it up here. No problem at all. Here we got some natural cordage. Very slicey knife, that's for sure. And finally, we got this nylon type of rope here. Super easy. Great slicing knife. All right, so let's see how the knife does at batoning. No problem. All right, let's try some cross-cut batoning. Let's try to split this piece. All right, so let's see how good it is at making feather sticks. Pretty good. So like all knives from Worktuff gear, the spine of the knife is very sharp, making it ideal to screw up your ferro rod. So it does throw a lot of sparks, making it very easy to light different types of tinder in the outdoors. So let's prepare some notches. So it definitely bites very deep in the wood. Very easy to prepare notches that way. And the tip is quite fine, so it's going to make it quite efficient if you want to drill holes in a piece of wood for a bow drill or to prepare a trap, for example. Let's see how it does at light chopping. For example, to prepare a tent stake. Pretty good. So the Voyageur definitely has a fine tip, making it ideal for piercing, which adds a functionality maybe as a defense knife, but it definitely pierces the wood very well. At the same time, it's still robust enough. So I did some tip testing here and had absolutely no damage to the tip. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend using it as a pry bar since it has a very fine tip, but it'll hold up to reasonable use for sure. So the Voyageur isn't a very heavy knife, but still can be used for light chopping to remove branches from trees. But a more efficient way to take down bigger trees would be to use the baton chopping method. So basically use your baton to hit your knife through the piece of wood. It's also called cross-grain batoning. You have to be careful because that does put a lot of strain on the edge. But if you use the method properly, you can easily use this Voyageur to take down trees roughly 4 inches in diameter. So one thing that we improved with the Gen 2 Voyageur is the edge geometry. It's significantly thinner compared to the first generation, and with the thin stock, it makes for an excellent slicer. So that's one feature that's important for a camp knife. You need to be able to prepare feather sticks, prepare your tinder, but at the same time, you want your knife to be able to do some food prep. So this knife is going to be able to do all these tasks. So definitely it's a knife that can handle some light chopping and light batoning, but I wouldn't use it to baton through some very knotty or very dense wood. So overall, the Worktuff Gear Voyageur is an excellent camp knife. It excels at slicing tasks like food prep, for example, cutting cordage, even skinning animals. But you can also use it for light batoning, light chopping. As I mentioned, it has a very fine edge, so you got to be careful when you're working with some very dense wood or wood that has a lot of knots. But overall, I think it's a great companion for the outdoors. I've used it a lot, never had any problem with it. So if you're looking for a camp knife for bushcraft or for camping, the Worktuff Gear Voyageur is a great option. So I'll add the link in the description section of the video. Alright guys, thanks for watching.